Hey, gang, it's Bob Bannister with you for another edition of Rock Talk with CGCM Rock Radio. Don't forget, click that like, share, and subscribe button. Hit that bell icon to stay up to date and drop us a comment about what you think. And maybe there's somebody you'd like us to talk to. We can do that too. It's just that easy. On this edition of Rock Talk, we catch up with Jordan Smith from the Australian band The Lovebombers. These guys are just starting to make some noise down under and worldwide as well. And it was just so cool to catch up with Jordan, have a great chat with him about what's going on, all things Lovebombers and all things rock and roll as well. This guy is very, very cool. I think you're going to like this one. So let's step into the studio, grab a coffee, and sit down and have a chat with Jordan Smith from The Lovebombers on this edition of Rock Talk. And as promised, we are talking with Jordan Smith from the Lovebombers on this edition of Rock Talk. Welcome, Jordan. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Bob. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
It's great having you here. And like I
Thank
said
you.
just before we went on camera, that is a great shirt.
Yes, Wicked Smile.
Wicked
Great
smile.
band.
Absolutely. So, Jordan, give us the quick Coles notes, I guess you'd say, version of the Lovebombers.
All right. Yeah, perfect. So there's a project I started probably about 3 years ago, sort of the back end of COVID, as the world was starting to open up again. And I've always been a musician playing in cover bands and writing and studying music and things like that. And I just got to a point where I really wanted to write and release a rock and roll album. That's originally what it started as. So I was working a full-time job at the time, just stacking shelves at a supermarket, and I was just like, nah, this isn't it for me. I need something more exciting. So I quit on the spot and just started writing an album. And yeah, that became the first Love Bombers album, Decent Exposure, which was released in October 2023. So it's been a couple of years now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And your latest album is Projectile Dysfunction. I love the titles
Yeah.
of these albums.
Uh, the- yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's all fun. Like for me, I sort of my passion is rock music that has a bit of fun and a bit of character and a bit of tongue in cheek. Like just you take the music seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. Like one of the biggest compliments I could get as a songwriter is like, "Oh, this music's fun and
Hmm.
enjoyable." So I like to sort of play with that a little bit. Yeah.
Absolutely. And as I was
Yeah.
preparing for the interview, I like to listen to the album and
Mhm.
and just kind of refresh my memory. And I came back to it. I hadn't listened to it in probably about 2-3 weeks. It's like, yeah, you know what? This is a
Oh,
really
cool.
fun album. How long did it
Cool.
take to complete this album?
So yeah, for projectile dysfunction, I remember I got the last mix and master back from Decent Exposure. So that was October. Well, that album finished about August 2023.
Mhm.
And then I just started writing again straight away for the next album. So the whole process probably took, oh, yeah, about 12 to 18 months to write and get it recorded and then up until the release. So yeah, it was a fairly quick turnaround, I suppose. But
Mhm.
yeah, I just love songwriting. That's my real passion. So yeah.
So, how different would you say projectile dysfunction is from decent exposure?
Um, it's a bit of it's still a bit of a continuation on, but I think really as a songwriter, it's just, a bit more experience as a songwriter and writing hooks and things like that. Yeah, there's a few songs that I've tuned a little bit lower on Projectile Dysfunction, like When Our Bodies Collide, the guitar's tuned a bit lower. So it's a bit of a heavier hard rock edge. I do love that. Like I love bands like Blackstone Cherry and
Oh yeah.
Nickelback. I think Nickelback are great songwriters and stuff. So I love that sort of hook in my songs. But yeah, so it's probably leaning a little heavier compared to the first album, which the first album has more of probably like an 80s influence, I would say.
Right.
Bit of a glam hair metal influence. There's still that linking thread throughout everything, but yeah,
Yeah, I that's the one thing I noticed as I was listening again. It's like, yeah, this has got a real nice 80s flavor to it.
yeah,
Stuff that I
yeah,
grew up listening to, but it's still new enough and raw enough that
yeah,
it's very modern sounding.
yes.
What is your creative process like for a project?
Oh, it can vary. Sometimes it'll just be from like I'll overhear something like a turn of phrase that someone says or something, and I'm like, oh, that'll make a great song title, or that'll be a cool lyric. And I love playing with words and
Mhm.
twisting sayings and stuff. Other times well, I'm a guitarist first and foremost, and that's my real love. So it could just be a riff or a chord progression or something like that. And then yeah, the melodies and the hooks tend to be based around the chord progressions that I'll write. Yeah.
So is there a song on this album that was just like pulling teeth
Yeah.
to get it to come together and to finish? When it
Oh,
came together, it's like, oh yeah, that's the sweet spot.
yeah. I would say probably Heart to Heart. It's one of my favorite songs on the album. Like
Mhm.
it's one of those songs where the bulk of it like wrote itself. And then just once it got to the final chorus and getting all the layers right and how to sort that out, I had something like 25 demos just of like basically after the guitar solo because I just couldn't get it right. But yeah, I'm very proud of that song. It's once again, it's just a big fun sort of party rock song. I mean,
Mhm.
there's probably elements of like Danger Danger and The Darkness and bands like that in there, but it's still hopefully fresh enough to sound like its own thing. But yeah. So that was a tricky one. I'm very proud of that song though. But yeah.
So off this new album, what would you say is
Yeah.
the most fun to play live?
Oh, that is a great question. Vicky, we've played Vicky live a lot. We've sort of been hibernating from live shows for a while, but when we played Vicky, I think it's track 2 on the album.
Mhm.
That's a fun one to play with like the guitar harmonies at the intro and yeah, it's just fun and we get the crowd involved and stuff. And also Hooking Up, that's a fun one. It's a nice little power shuffle sort of song.
Yeah.
Once again, guitar harmonies. We get a big crowd sing along in the middle section in the middle eight, and yeah, it's another really fun one to play live. Yeah.
So what can fans expect when they come and see the Love Bombers live?
Hopefully, just fun and a good atmosphere. We're really big on inclusion and getting everyone involved, and you know, to the best of our ability, all ages. It can depend on the venue and stuff like that. But really, it's just we once again have fun on stage and stuff, and we take the music seriously, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. Definitely, yeah, we just want people to come and like forget about their troubles for the 40 minutes or hour or however long we're on stage. Yeah.
So was there something that a band that you grew up listening to where you kind of got away from and then you've come back to and go, you know what, that's kind of leaking into my songwriting?
Yeah, there's a few. I grew up on well, I'd say Van Halen for me. They're my favorite band of all time, and I
Good
always find
choice.
myself yeah, like I'm a big fan. Like I love the Sammy Hagar era as well, but I really love the David Lee Roth era as well. I love them both for different reasons, but I love
Mhm.
sort of the energy and the passion and the fire and just sort of the sometimes, and I mean this in the best way, the unhingedness that Dave would bring on stage.
Yes.
Um, just all the playfulness, yeah. So I'd say Van Halen. Like I find myself, I'll they're sort of my true musical love. But no matter how far I might stray with other types of music and genres, I'll always come back to them. And just so many great songs and like massive fan of obviously as a guitarist, massive fan of Eddie's playing, but also
Yes.
his rhythm playing to me, his rhythm guitar playing is just next level. Like,
He is
yeah,
he's overlooked as a rhythm player because
yeah.
everybody just looks at the flash.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite easy to do that, isn't it?
It is.
But he's just so in the pocket and like just his I'm in that rhythm section with him and Alex and Mike as well. Yeah, just next level stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. So looking ahead, how does
Yep.
2026 look to be shaping up for the Love Bombers?
Yeah. Great question. So We have released a couple of singles over the last few months. One's titled Sex Train and one's titled Scream. Scream's probably a good example of the direction of the next album. So I've pretty much written the third album. But yeah, the third album's a bit of a darker. I've been listening to a lot of like, I wouldn't say metal as such, but harder rock. I have a distinct love. There's like a niche of like European metal, like German bands and stuff. So I'm really into some of that stuff. So it's still the Love Bombers. It still will sound like the Love Bombers with the big hooks and big harmonies, but there's sort of like a darker sound musically in terms of just guitar tunings being a bit lower and stuff. I'd still call it hard rock. I wouldn't call it metal as such, but yeah, so that's sort of probably the direction. So finishing up writing now, I've got about half the album mixed and mastered. But the single Scream was the latest single. That's probably a good example of just the, once again, it's still fun, still up tempo, dancey, hits hard, and there will be some softer moments, but yeah. So we're just finishing off writing that, and then we'll probably look at getting into some shows again the second half of the year. It's been a while since we've played live, so yeah, it's very much sort of the Love Bombers is interesting because it's very much like a, it's definitely not a solo project.
Mhm.
But I sort of, it is my sort of passion, musical passion sort of project. So I'll like write all the songs and then I'll show the guys that we have in the live band and sort of bounce off them if I'm not sure about sections and yeah, get them involved as well. But yeah,
Cool. So
yeah.
one of our sponsors here at CGCM Rock Radio is Iron Maiden Trooper Beer. And as everybody knows, Yannick, the third guitarist, is the guy that's always falling off the stage or dropping his guitar or falling on his face. Have you had, like we like to call it, a Yannick moment on stage
Oh,
or a
what
Spinal
is
Tap
there?
moment?
A Spinal Tap moment. I mean, unfortunately, there's nothing that really springs to mind. There will be something as soon as this interview's finished. I'm like, oh, I should have mentioned that. Um, Not really, other than just things like guitar straps falling off and just like having to like, hold yourself up and things like that. Fortunately, nothing has happened, but even if it does happen, that would actually be very on brand for the Love Bombers. But actually, there is one moment now that's popped into my mind. Our first gig, we were playing in the back of a shipping container. Um,
Okay.
and it was at the end of, at the back of a pub, and it's a really nice setup actually. But it was like late January, and I live in northern New South Wales. And if anyone's familiar with that region, it gets quite humid.
Mhm.
And there was a massive thunderstorm that had blown through, but it didn't cool the place down, so it was like still 40 degrees, really humid. And we were a few songs in, and we were like, yeah, this is chaos. Like just playing conditions wise. So there was a local tradie at this pub, and he went out and got his leaf blower out, and he was blowing us with the leaf blower, and that was pretty iconic actually. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, that was pretty fun. Yeah,
So what's one piece of
yeah.
advice that you'd like to pass on to a band that's just starting out that you wish you hadn't gotten when you were at that part of your journey?
It's a great question. I would just say like stick to your guns, like stick to your, make sure you're authentic to yourself as a songwriter and as a band. Like you can take inspiration and influence from other people, but really, I think it really shines a lot if your music is an extension of yourself and your own personality. I think yeah, that's probably the best advice I received, and that's probably the best advice I could give out to a young band or a new band starting out. Yeah,
Excellent. Now,
yeah,
before we wrap this up, I like to do a little thing. It's called This or That. It's just a series of five rapid fire questions, top of the head answers, just a little bit of fun, nothing to do with music. If you're
yeah,
ready,
yeah, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Let's
all
do
right,
it.
all right. City life or country living?
Country living. I've grown up in the country, so yeah, country living.
Beer or wine?
Uh, Neither.
Okay,
I
okay,
don't. I don't drink. Yeah, yeah,
okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah.
Beach holiday or ski vacation?
Oh, I'd say beach. Once again, I'm growing up near the coast, so yeah,
Okay.
beach. Yeah,
Console gaming or PC gaming?
console. Yeah,
Always early or always late?
early.
And
Yeah.
finally, this is the one that divides everybody.
Okay.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes. I'm going to say yes. Yep.
All right. All right. Jordan, thank you for joining us on this edition of the Rock Talk. Good luck to the
No
Love.
worries. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. What's your website?
Oh,
What's your
sorry.
socials so folks can
Um,
catch up?
yeah, so you can find us we're most active on Instagram at the moment. So I think it's the Love Bombers Rock. On Instagram, we do have a website, thelovebombers.com.au, so you can get merch or whatever you want on there. And yeah, just have fun listening to the music, really. Stream us wherever you listen to. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. You do a lot of great things for music and rock music. You're a big supporter, so it's awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I want to thank you
No
for
worries.
joining us on this edition of Rock Talk with
No worries.
CGCM Rock Radio. And we'll catch you again next time.